Hi everybody, and welcome to this 7-part video series on how to go from sim racing to real racing. A few years ago I became a licensed racing driver and spent 2 years racing at many of the circuits around the UK. In this video series I'll hopefully share my story and try to offer advice for anybody else that would like to do this themselves. So in the previous videos we've covered everything you need to go racing, how to get a car, how to find a series, etc. In this video, we're actually going to look at one of the races I did, this time at Brands Hatch. So for anybody who doesn't know, Brands Hatch is a racing track in the southeast of the UK. It did host the F1 once upon a time, but these days it's more about saloon cars. There's one corner in particular that's particularly dangerous on it, called Paddock Hill Bend. Pitch doesn't really show it that well, but basically this corner drops down really sharply, and a lot of cars end up in that gravel. So for anybody who doesn't know, they haven't watched the previous videos, go and watch them. But just to let you know, we were basically racing in a team endurance series in an Integra Type R. And basically, I think the races were about 45 minutes, 50 minutes long. And you had to do a mandatory pit stop and a driver change halfway through. In that pit stop, you had to wait a certain amount of time. And then the other driver would go out. This was multi-class racing, so each race had multiple different classes, and you can see on the back of the cars a letter that represents the class they're in. So when you see the video, we weren't racing all the cars that you see. So the class structure was based on power to weight, although I think if you had certain upgrades on your car you'd actually go upper class. But what I found over time was a lot of people just cheated and lied about what class they were in. So as with the last video, I explained briefly that it's not all about just going to the track and racing. You have to get a trailer, you have to get the car on the trailer, get all your stuff loaded, then get to the track, get all set up for the day, get ready to race. There's a lot more to it than just turning up and racing. And just like all the races, you'd have to go sign on in the morning, attend a briefing, and then you'd get a 10-minute session where you could do some practice, and it was also your qualifying. And then before you knew it, you were basically on the grid. So despite the fact that we didn't really get much practice, I think because this circuit was quite local to me, I actually managed to qualify us in something like 5th or 6th on the grid, which was pretty good going. We were actually upper class this year, I think. I think we were B rather than C, and that's partially because we had a plate diff, and partially because I think we may have rebuilt the engine over the winter as well. But as I'll get to in a second, not everybody played fairly when it came to classes. So, as I said in the last video, you're sitting on the grid, your heart is racing, you're boiling hot, and you're waiting for these lights to go out. And we're off. So I got a really great start there, absolutely pipped the Clio off the line, and then also got the BMW as well. So basically going into turn 1, we're now in 3rd on the actual track, so not even just in class. This is actually overall we're running 3rd right now. Obviously tyres might be a little bit cold right at the start, so you haven't got maximum grip. Just trying to get away as much as I can. So not getting a lot of grip right now. So you may have noticed the 2 cars ahead of us are just disappearing on the straight. In theory they were meant to be the same class as us, but I'll let you be the judge on that, and whether they are or not. I think we get a yellow flag in a second and actually the race gets restarted, and just pay attention to how quickly they zoom away from me on the straights. But either way, from my perspective, I'm just concentrating on my own race, and I'm just going to do what I can and just lap as quickly as possible. So with a front wheel drive car like this, if you get on the gas too early or your tyres aren't gripping, it's just going to understeer out. It's the opposite to a rear wheel drive car, which if the tyres are cold you've got a chance that you'll spin out. But really with this car it was just a case of making sure that you commit to the corner and could get through smoothly basically. One issue I did notice in this race was that the tyres did start going off a bit, so especially in this corner, struggling a bit with grip. But thankfully we had fitted a plate diff over the off season, and that helped a lot more with front end turning. Okay, I think we've just seen the yellow flags out, and so the race is actually being put on hold. So we're about to restart. I think we're behind the pace car. Pay close attention to how quickly these two ahead of me get away from me. So I'm absolutely flat out and they're just disappearing into the distance. Trying to hang on as much as I can this time. Be under attack as well. It's taking a very shallow line there. So on that next straight, just each time we get to a straight you can just see that car just edging away. No grip at all. And there they go. So the guys that actually helped prep our car, a Honda specialist called TGM in Fleet, they actually said that they also prepped that DC5 in front of us, and they basically had a full blueprinted engine that had thousands spent on it and was producing something like 350 brake horsepower or something. So there was absolutely no way it was in the same class as us. They should have been in Class A. Instead they claim they're in Class B, as with the guy at the front. And this is kind of the end result. You basically end up with a race that's very hard for you to win as a result of it. And this is sort of the story that you learn when you actually go racing, is that unfortunately life isn't fair. In motorsport, historically, there's been a lot of people cheating. It happens even today in F1. And it's generally a case of who has the most money, but also who bends the rules the most. And really, I was just too honest, I think. Had no money and just thought everybody was going to keep it fair. If I had been racing in Class C right now and lied, I would have been winning my class. Instead, I was honest, admitted that I'd made upgrades to the car and I was now in Class B, and now I had these guys romping miles ahead and struggling to catch them up. So just like the last race, because ultimately I haven't really had much practice on this track with this car, I'm actually getting quicker as I'm going around lap after lap. growing in confidence, braking later, knowing that I can go faster through certain corners. I think if I'd had the money to do the proper test day on the Friday, I would have been a lot quicker from the off. Just getting past the back marker there. Quite a lot of understeer again, but just hold on to it. This poor engine. I can't remember what we're even revving it to. It's probably like nearly 10,000 or something. And the brakes also still had the problem with the brake bias and the lack of ABS, so sometimes you just snatch on the brakes. So just coming up to pass some more back markers. I think we had some cars behind us that we were actually racing with, but you just can't see them. Whoa, just getting it completely sideways there. So this engine that's screaming its heart out does eventually blow up, but thankfully not in this race. It did just go through so much oil at those high RPMs, it was just blowing oil out the seals. So just catching up some back markers again, just trying to make my way through the traffic. Somebody's locked it up ahead. So I think this Clio might have even been in our class. I think it might have just been lapping him there. Take quite a shallow line there, and yeah, it didn't grip too well. So seeing this, I'm thinking, am I going to get past? Am I going to get past? I have to take a shallow line in, not the line that you want to take. I've made it stick. So I do remember one funny thing about this car is where the seat was actually fitted, I was struggling to reach the pedals. A real stretch, which is just not ideal. But the guy I was racing with was, I think, slightly taller than me, so that's where we compromised. Ooh, just had to back out of that slightly, just going through. With the multi-class racing, everybody's racing their own race in your individual class, so I don't think those guys would have cared that I was zooming past them. Get some real understeer on that corner there. It's pretty scary when you're hurtling towards this corner. Oh, and just got the brakes catching slightly there. So it looks like these guys up ahead are having a bit of a battle. I'm going to have to try to get through in between them somehow. To go full send. Three wide. I just held on to it, got through. Some smoke up ahead. When you're out there, you have no real idea what's going on in the race. don't have a relatives board or a standings board or anything like that. You're just out on your own, no one on a radio or anything. It's just lap as quick as you can, just get around, overtake cars, don't have anybody overtake you. I do remember the car made a fantastic noise when you were standing on the pit wall, and somebody's just given me the sign to say I've got to come in next lap. But yeah, when it would go past like that, I remember especially at, I think like Alton Park, real flat out, and then the right hander that goes into that next corner, it would just be screaming its head off as it went past and pop massively on the overrun. Keeping over to the right because I'm coming in here. So in we come. And so we did a driver swap. The other driver went out. He did about 20 minutes or so. And then this was the result. So according to this, we came third overall, which is pretty good going. Highlighted the car in yellow because I can't remember if it was this year or the year before. But there was one year where basically the team didn't do as long as they should have in the pit stop, and as a result of that they sort of jumped us in standings, which basically is an illegal thing to do. You've got a set amount of time that you have to do, so even if you've swapped drivers you have to wait for that amount of time to go out so that nobody gets an advantage. And yeah, basically I can't remember if it was this year or not, but I know one year we ended up gaining another place after the fact. So it was either a second or a third. But I don't actually have the trophy because I let my co-driver actually take that trophy home, whatever it was. One other thing to note, just right at the bottom, it looks like that Integra Type R DC5 actually didn't finish in the end. So I don't know what happened with them and what issue they had with their engine. The Peugeot 205 that ended up winning it, I still stand by the fact that seemed way quicker than us. It was about 2 seconds a lap quicker. If you look at a lot of everybody else's best times, you're looking at 57s and stuff. That was 55, which just seems crazy. So my friend James took this photo of me that day. I'm really happy and grinning, and I think that's the thing. This is what it's all about. It's about going and having fun, living out your dream, following your sort of passion. At the end of the day, this is only club level motorsport. We're not F1 drivers, and we know that we're never going to be. So it's just about going out, enjoying yourself and having a great time. So hopefully you've all made it this far. Once again, thanks for watching. Next week, we're going to be looking at Cadwell Park, which is a very different type of circuit than Brands and Donington. I think that'll be the final race that I actually look at in detail, mainly because I'm struggling to find any footage, to be honest. And then we'll jump on to part 7 on the week after that looks at costs and ultimately whether you should go racing yourself. So once again, thanks for watching everybody. Please like the video, and if you haven't, please subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.